Sergeant Gift and Constable Tlhonolofatso are in a relationship. They are both police officers in Tzaneen. On Sunday night, Gift went to Tlhonolofatso's place. They had an argument, and then it escalated. They were screaming at each other. Tlhonolofatso felt unsafe, and then she had to call her workplace to send some of their colleagues to come and defuse the situation. When they arrived, they realized that tempers were really high. They decided to separate the couple. They took Tlhonolofatso to the police station with them for her own safety. In the early hours of the morning, Gift followed them to the police station. When he got there, he found Tlhonolofatso with her colleagues. He pulled out his work firearm and then he shot at her at close range. She died on the spot. At the police station, her workplace, a place of safety. This is the heartbreaking story of Constable Tlhonolofatso Machete. Welcome to True Crime with me, Julia. On this channel, we look into true crime cases that have happened in South Africa. Today's story is very new. It broke in the early hours of Monday morning. This case was requested by one of us here, Umoni Kamashio. Thank you so much for turning our attention to this case and helping us do our best to make sure that Constable Tlhonolofatso's story stays in the discourse. This story is based on news reports and a report by the police. So let us get into the story.
Let me indicate that this is one of the devastating impact of gender-based violence that we have noticed in the province, especially now that we are observing the 16 days of activism.
Constable Tlhonolofatso is 31 years old. She's from the Mopie village in Bolobedu South in Limpopo, and she's stationed at the Ritavi Police Station just outside Tzaneen. Her boyfriend, Sergeant Gift Matimba Ngobeni, is 42 years old. He's from Basani village near Shigalo in Giyani, also in Limpopo. He is stationed at the Mopani district office. It is not yet clear how long the couple has been together, and as it stands, the police are investigating if there are any previous cases of domestic violence between the two before this incident. On Sunday evening, 7 December 2025, like any other day in Nkwankwa, Tlhonolofatso was at her rental residence. Gift arrived shortly before midnight. According to investigators, what began as a conversation spiraled into a heated argument. Neighbors reported raised voices, nothing unusual in a couple's quarrel, but enough for concern. Inside the home, the tension escalated. Tlhonolofatso felt unsafe enough to reach out to her colleagues at Ritavi Police Station. When the police officers arrived at her residence, they found a visibly distressed Tlhonolofatso. Following procedure, they then escorted her to the police station, the very place meant to guarantee her protection. There, inside the community service center, she waited. She waited while officers recorded her complaint and made arrangements to ensure that she is safe. Meanwhile, Gift initially left the area. According to preliminary investigations, he drove towards Giyani, but somewhere along the way, he changed his mind. He changed direction. He made a U-turn and began driving straight toward Ritavi Police Station. Shortly after midnight, CCTV cameras captured his car pulling up at the station. Witnesses say he entered with purpose. They say he was quick, he was decisive, and emotionally charged. Inside the community service center, he found Tlhonolofatso with other officers. What happened next unfolded in a matter of seconds. They say he walked in. He confronted her. He drew his service pistol and shot at her at close range. Before anyone could react, before the other officers could even draw their own weapons, he turned it on himself. Both officers died instantly.
Shortly after some time, the sergeant arrived at the police station and he immediately took out his firearm and shot the constable dead at the scene. And after realizing that the constable was shot dead by him, he turned the gun on himself and he shot himself in the process. Let me indicate that this is one of the devastating impact of gender-based violence that we have noticed in the province, especially now that we are observing the 16 days of activism.
The station, normally a place of order and safety, fell into instant chaos and shock. Lieutenant General Thembi Hatebe, Limpopo's police commissioner, released an emotional statement hours later. She condemned the act as a heartbreaking reminder of how domestic violence can infiltrate even the ranks sworn to uphold the law. Her words were pointed and heavy. She said this incident is a stark reminder of the destructive impact of domestic violence, even within the police ranks. She emphasized the need for police members to seek professional support, counseling, mental health services, and employee wellness programs, especially when dealing with emotional distress or relationship conflict. What made this tragedy even more painful is its timing. South Africa is in the middle of the 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children, a campaign dedicated to fighting gender-based violence. Just days earlier, the police in Limpopo hosted a symposium on domestic violence, mental health, and member well-being, and yet a male sergeant murdered a female constable in a police station while she was seeking help. A grim reminder that domestic violence does not discriminate, not by profession, not by rank, and not by uniform. It is a pandemic. In line with procedure, the case has been transferred to the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, or IPID. 2 cases have been opened, one of murder for Constable Machete Tlhonolofatso, another an inquest into the death of Sergeant Ngobeni Gift Matimba.
We can confirm that we are investigating a case of murder and an inquest. A murder in the sense that the constable was shot dead by the sergeant in the main. And then we are also investigating an inquest because the sergeant turned the gun on himself. So as a result, we are also investigating an inquest. Those 2 cases have been registered here at the Ritavi Police Station.
IPID will investigate the events leading up to the argument, whether there were any previous complaints of domestic conflict, the timeline of police response, and whether protocols to protect victims were correctly followed. The police said additional details will be released as the investigation progresses. But beyond the titles and the ranks, 2 families are in mourning. 2 police stations have been left in shock. Colleagues who knew the pair described them as dedicated and hard-working officers. They said there were people who showed up for their communities every single day. But behind the badges was a relationship battling conflict, uncertainty, and emotional strain. A relationship that ended violently in a place where protection should have been guaranteed. The death of the 2 police officers at the Ritavi Police Station will not be forgotten. Their story is now part of South Africa's long and painful battle against gender-based violence, a battle fought not only in the homes and in the communities, but even within the walls of the police service itself. Please let us leave hearts in the comment section for Constable Tlhonolofatso. Thank you so much for watching. What are your thoughts on this case? Please let us know. Please stay safe. I will see you on the next one.